The Charlotte Hornets have added to the plethora of young guards they have on this roster, selecting James Bouknight in the first round of this year's NBA draft, and it leaves them in a scenario where they are likely to lose or trade one or two of their young guards in this upcoming offseason, or a trade throughout the rest of the upcoming season. On this roster, they now currently have Terry Rozier, who has 1 year left on his contract and is the oldest of the guards at 27. LaMelo Ball, who was just drafted last year and is sure to be their cornerstone franchise piece. Malik Monk, who is a restricted free agent. Devonte Graham, who is a restricted free agent and is also on the older side of their guards at age 26. And James Bouknight, who they, of course, just drafted, so they have him under team control for the next 4 years and will not be going anywhere anytime soon. So one of, if not two of, Terry Rozier, Devonte Graham, and Malik Monk, I expect will leave Charlotte in the next couple of weeks, potentially in free agency, or potentially via Terry Rozier, a trade later on in the season. So here's my thoughts about this for Charlotte moving forward and why I think that this is coming. They have 5 guards: Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, Devonte Graham, James Bouknight, Malik Monk, all of which are under the age of 27, 3 of which now are under the age of 23, with Malik Monk, LaMelo Ball, and James Bouknight. 2 of them they have to pay this summer if they are going to retain them, with Malik Monk and Devonte Graham. So both of them are restricted free agents, and they are at risk of losing one, if not both of them already, as it remains, as far as an offer sheet is concerned for them on those 2 restricted free agents. So it's possible that they lose both of those guys simply due to restricted free agency. So that is possibility number 1. Now, possibility number 2 is they resign both of Malik Monk and Devonte Graham, and that leaves them with 5 guards on this team, and I find it hard to believe they're going to have a 5-guard rotation or not play one of Devonte Graham, Malik Monk, or James Bouknight. None of those guys are going to be happy with that. They're not going to send James Bouknight to the G League. He's too good for that. And if they're signing Malik Monk or Devonte Graham back to a new contract, they're not going to settle for being the 5th guard on the team. So if they do come back, they're going to get traded. And for that reason, I don't expect that both of them will come back, but it is possible. And here's option number 3, where they do resign both of those guys, but then Terry Rozier gets traded. And here's why this makes sense, and this is the option I would advocate for Charlotte moving forward. Terry Rozier is a starter, wants to be a starter. That's what he wants. That's his role. He wanted it in Boston. That's why he went out of Boston when he played well, when Kyrie Irving went out with an injury and he played well in the playoffs. And he's gotten that now alongside LaMelo Ball in the backcourt. Charlotte, LaMelo Ball is going to be a starting guard for them for the long term. Malik Monk kind of projects as the 6th man, but maybe Devonte Graham pushes himself into the starting lineup. Maybe James Bouknight pushes himself into the starting lineup and is a bit more of a traditional shooting guard alongside someone like LaMelo Ball. Terry Rozier has to get paid in a year. He is going to be an unrestricted free agent after this upcoming 21-22 season, and that has to be a thing of consideration for Charlotte. 1, from a money standpoint, considering they are already committed to $57.2 million for the 2022-23 season, and that does not include Miles Bridges. That does not include either of the Martin brothers. That does not include the new deals from Malik Monk and Devonte Graham if they do re-sign them. And that is not including a PJ Washington and LaMelo Ball extension that is going to have to kick in 1 year and 2 years later, respectively. So dishing out a lot of money to Terry Rozier, what's probably going to be 20 plus a year, someone who's going to be 28 at that point in time, is something that Charlotte are going to have to consider on whether that is something they truly want to do. And I would argue that's probably something you shouldn't do. So if I'm Charlotte Hornets approaching this offseason, I would highly recommend that Terry Rozier installs either this offseason or as they approach the trade deadline next season. As Terry Rozier can be a starting point guard that can definitely help a team. There's a lot of teams that are interested in starting point guards this offseason, whether that be Bulls, Knicks, Heat, Mavericks, 76ers. Not all of those teams can realistically acquire them via trade for salary purposes as of right now, but as we get into free agency and some teams sign some more players, acquire some salaries, it could be a bit more possible. Or it could be even a bit more likely as we get to the trade deadline at that point as well. So I think moving on from him definitely makes sense. He's the oldest of the guards. He's going to have to get paid the most money outside of everyone that is not named LaMelo Ball. But I think it just makes sense to move on from him as you want to fit the timeline of this team and make sure you have the money for your young guys moving forward. Have a plethora of players at the guard positions. And Terry Rozier, I don't think, is the guy for them long term. That's nothing against Terry Rozier. I think he's a good fit in this team and a solid player. It can be a good player for someone else, but I think it makes sense to focus on LaMelo Ball, of course, one of, if not both, of Malik Monk and Devonte Graham, and see what you have in James Bouknight. See if you can get some return then for Terry Rozier, whether that be in a different position or in future assets. You might as well get something back for the guards that you have to try and add more assets or current talent on the team for Terry Rozier before he hits unrestricted free agency, to either overpay him, lose him, or then the alternative of not signing Malik Monk or Devonte Graham, as long as you can get them at reasonable deals, and instead losing them for free and then retaining Terry Rozier. Retain the talent you can if you can get it at a good price, and get assets back, the talent that is most likely to leave you soon. I do not know if Terry Rozier would be interested in returning to Charlotte as an unrestricted free agent, but either way, I would advocate for the trade. And that is my thoughts on what the Charlotte Hornets should do with their plethora of 5 guards on the team as it sits after the acquisition of James Bouknight in the draft. The future is bright for Charlotte, and that is my thoughts on what I would do with their overload of options in the backcourt. Let me know what you guys think you would do with the Charlotte Hornets backcourt situation as they approach free agency starting tomorrow, and so the decisions on Malik Monk and Devonte Graham are not going to be that far away. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I will be continuing to give my thoughts on some of the situations within some teams in the league after the draft throughout the rest of the day. Most notably, I have already uploaded a video on the Wizards, so feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in. And I will be giving my thoughts on the Magic, Warriors, and Kings later today, so be sure to check those out if that's something you're interested in. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are interested in all of the thoughts as we continue through free agency. I'll be keeping you up to date on all of my thoughts on all of the signings that go down, and I quite literally mean pretty much all of them. That being said, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one.